Hare Krishna. We continue reading from Caitaniya Caritamita Adi Leela, chapter 11, text 8. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Virabhadra Gosai, Skanda Mahashakha, Tanra Upashakha Yata, Asankhya Tara Lekha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. After Nityananda Prabhu, the greatest branch is Virabhadra Gosai, who also has innumerable branches and some branches. It is not possible to describe them all. So in this chapter, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is enumerating the branches which are coming from Lord Nityananda, the associates of Lord Nityananda. And he's telling us that the biggest is Virabhadra. Virabhadra is the son of Nityananda Prabhu. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, Virabhadra Gosai was the direct son of Srila Nityananda Prabhu and a disciple of Janava Devi. His real mother was Vasudha. So Lord Nityananda had two wives, Vasudha and Janava. As Balaram also had Revati and I forget the other. So the two wives, they come again with Lord Nityananda, and Vasudha's son's name is Virabhadra, and Virabhadra takes initiation from Janava Devi. In the Gaur Ganodesh Dipika 67, he is mentioned as an incarnation of Shirodaksha Vishnu. So this Virabhadra, the son of Lord Nityananda, his identity is he's Shirodaksha Vishnu. Therefore, Virabhadra Gosai is non-different from Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how is that? Because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. Well, who is Shirodaksha Vishnu? He's also an expansion of Krishna. So here then Prabhupada is pointing out, then that means Virabhadra and Lord Chaitanya is the same person, non-different. In a village of the name Jamatpur, in the district of Hooghly, Virabhadra Gosai had a disciple named Yadunath Acharya, who had two daughters, a real daughter named Srimati and a foster daughter named Narayani. So then in the district of Hooghly, there is a village called Jamatpur. And in this village, Virabhadra Gosai, he had a disciple. And the name of his disciple is Yadunath Acharya. And Yadunath Acharya has two daughters. One is his real daughter, one is his foster daughter. The real daughter is Srimati. The foster daughter is Narayani. Both these daughters married, and they are mentioned in the Bhakti Ratnakar 13th wave. Virabhadra Gosai had three disciples who are celebrated as his sons, Gopijana Vallabh, Ramakrishna, and Ramachandra. So his disciples are Gopijana Vallabh, Ramakrishna, and Ramachandra. The youngest, Ramachandra, belonged to the Sandilya dynasty and had the surname Vatavyala. So it's like a history, a small history is being given about Virabhadra Gosai. So then the youngest, Ramachandra, these are his disciples. So Ramachandra is one of his disciples. He's coming from the Shandilya dynasty, and his surname was Vatavyala. He established his family at Khadadaha, and its members are known as the Goswamis of Khadadaha. The eldest disciple, Gopijan Vallabh, was a resident of a village known as Lata, near the Manakar railway station in the district of Burdwan. So we heard about Ramachandra, and now Gopijana Vallabh. He's the oldest of the disciples. He used to live in a village, Lata, near the Manakar railway station in the district Burdwan. The second Ramakrishna lived near Maldaha in a village named Gayeshpur. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur notes that since these three disciples belonged to different Gotras or dynasties and also had different surnames and lived in different places, it is not possible to accept them as real sons of Virabhadra Gosai. So these three personalities, they are called sons of Virabhadra Gosai, but they are actually his disciples, not seminal sons. Gopichand Vallabh, Ramakrishna, and Ramachandra. So he is their spiritual father and they are his disciples. This is pointed out by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Ramachandra had 4 sons, of whom the eldest was Radha Madhav, whose third son was named Yadavendra. Yadavendra's son was Nandakishore, his son was Nidhi Krishna, his son was Caitanya Chand, his son was Krishna Mohan, his son was Jagmohan, his son was Brajanath, and his son was Shyamlala Goswami. This is the genealogical table given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for the descendants of Virabhadra Gosai. So, this is the disciples and their sons and their sons and their sons and their sons. So we can if we trace it out, we can go and actually find out about Virabhadra Gosai. Because it's all about not very long ago, it's just about 500 years ago. And we may say, oh my God, these are so many different names, and oh, whose son is who and whose disciple is who. But we just need to understand, just by hearing about these great personalities, we are having great spiritual advancement. We get purified just by hearing about such great personalities. Like Bhagavatam also, there's so many personalities mentioned. But just by hearing about them is purifying. Ishwar Haya Kahaya Mahabhagavad Veda Dharma Tita Hana Veda Dharme Rata. Although Virabhadra Gosai was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he presented himself as a great devotee. And although the Supreme Godhead is transcendental to all Vedic injunctions, he strictly followed the Vedic rituals. So Virabhadra Gosai, we understand that he is Shirodakshai Vishnu. So means he's God himself. But he is not posing himself as God. He's not saying, I am Krishna, come and worship me. No, what he's doing, he is worshipping Krishna. He's following all the rules and regulations in the scriptures. He doesn't need to, but he still. Why? To show us, being an example for us. He's showing by example. The teacher teaches us by example. Antare Ishwar Chesta Bahiren Nirdamba Chaitanya Bhakti Mandape Tenho Mula Stamba. He's the main pillar in the hall of devotional service erected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He knew within himself that he acted as the Supreme Lord Vishnu, but externally he was prideless. So it's not that he's forgotten his identity, that he's forgotten, oh, I'm actually Vishnu. Like how many people say, oh, right now you have forgotten your God, but one day you will get the realization and you'll remember you are God. No, God never forgets he's God. Never forget. So same here, Virabhadra. He knows who he is, but outside, he's showing us how to be a devotee. He's being a proper example for us, teaching us how to engage in devotional service. Adyapi yanhar kripa mahima haite Caitanya Nityānanda gaya sakala jagate. It is by the glorious mercy of Sri Virabhadra Gosai that people all over the world now have the chance to chant the names of Chaitanya and Nityananda. So we are hearing that he was the main pillar of this tree of Lord Chaitanya. – He's so powerfully spreading the holy name. Se Virabhadra Gosaira Laino Sharana Yanhar Prasade Haya Abhishta Purna. I therefore take shelter of the lotus feet of Virabhadra Gosai, so that by his mercy, my great desire to write Sri Caitanya Caritamita will be properly guided. So here Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, he is being an example to us. He's not saying, oh, see, I'm such a great writer. I can write, you know, not being proud, but he's saying, I'm taking shelter of the lotus feet of Virabhadra Gosai, so that by his mercy, my desire to write will be properly fulfilled. Shri Ramdas Ara Gadadhar Das Chaitanya Gosaira Bhakta Rahitan Rapash. Two devotees of Lord Chaitanya named Shri Ramdas and Gadadhar Das always lived with Shri Virabhadra Gosai. So Ramdas and Gadadhar were always with Virabhadra Gosai. This Gadadhar Das is different than the Gadadhar Pandit. Shri Ramdas, later known as Abhiram Thakur, was one of the 12 Gopalas or cowherd boyfriends of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So most of the associates of Lord Nityananda are the Gopas. They are the cowherd boys, and they're in the mood of that cowherd boy. Many times Lord Nityananda would be in that mood, and Lord Nityananda's associates also would be in that mood. So the same is for Ramdas Thakur. Ramdas, and his name later he was called Abhiram Thakur. The Gaur Ganodesh Deepika 126 states that Sri Ramdas was formerly Sridham. So Sridham, Krishna's Sakha, he's come as Ramdas, as Abhiram Thakur, and he's come as one of the associates of Lord Nityananda. In the Bhakti Ratnakar fourth wave, there is a description of Srila Abhiram Thakur. By the order of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Abhiram Thakur became a great acharya and preacher of the Chaitanya cult of devotional service. So Abhiram Thakur is also not acting independently. He's taking guidance from Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is telling him, you go preach. And then he becomes a preacher. He was a very influential personality, and non-devotees were very much afraid of him. Empowered by Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he was always in ecstasy and was extremely kind to all fallen souls. It is said that if he offered obeisances to any stone other than the Shalagram Shila, it would immediately fracture. So this is the power. This was that if he's offering obeisances to any other stone other than Shalagram Shila, it would immediately fracture. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhasya, 10 miles southwest of the Chanpadanga railway station, on the narrow gauge railway line from Howrah in Calcutta to Amta, a village in the Hooghly district, is a small town named Khanakula Krishnanagar, where the temple in which Abhiram Thakur worshipped is situated. So Abhiram Thakur used to perform worship in one temple. That temple is in a town which is called Khanakula Krishnanagar. And this Khanakula Krishnanagar, it's in the Hooghly district. And it's somewhere near the Chanpadanga railway station in the railway line from Howrah to Amta. During the rainy season, when this area is inundated with water, people must go there by another line, which is now called the Southeastern Railway. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, oh, if there's too much rains, then people take the Southeastern Railway. On this line, there is a station named Kolaghat, from which one has to go by steamer to Rani Chakka. 7.5 miles north of Rani Chakka is Khanakula. The temple where Abhiram Thakur worshipped is situated in Krishnanagar, which is near the Kula bank of the Khana Dwarkeshwar river. Dwarkeshwar River. Therefore, this place is celebrated as Khanakula Krishnanagar. So Kula means bank, Khana is Dwarkeshwar River. So on the bank of the Dwarkeshwar River, that's why it's called Khanakula Krishnanagar. Outside of the temple is a bakula tree. This place is known as Siddha Bakula Kunj. It is said that when Abhiram Thakur came there, he sat down under this tree. In the Khanakula Krishnanagar, there is a big fair held every year in the month of Chaitra, March, April, on the Krishna Shaptami, the seventh day of the dark moon. Many hundreds and thousands of people gather for this festival. The temple where Abhiram Thakur worshipped has a very old history. The deity in the temple is known as Gopinath. There are many Sevaita families living near the temple. So the deity that Abhiram Thakur was worshipped is Gopinath deity. It seems it's a very historical temple, and there are many Sevaita families, means the families who are serving the deities. There are many of these families, they live near the temple. It is said that Abhiram Thakur had a whip, and that whoever he touched with it would immediately become an elevated devotee of Krishna. Or imagine, we get afraid of somebody is going to whip us. But here, Abhiram Thakur, anyone he is touching him with this whip, that person becomes an elevated devotee of Krishna. Wow. Among his many disciples, Srinivas Acharya was the most famous and the most dear, but it is doubtful that he was his initiated disciple. So Srinivas Acharya, very, very, very celebrated devotee. Srinivas Acharya, together with Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda Prabhu, they carried on the preaching mission after Lord Chaitanya left. So Srinivas Acharya is known to be a disciple of Abhiram Thakur, but probably not his initiated disciple. Probably Abhiram Thakur is more like his Shiksha Guru rather than Diksha Guru. So this we heard about Abhiram Thakur. And he was always living with Virabhadra Gosai. Nityānanda agya dila yabe gaure yaite Mahaprabhu e dui dila tanra sate. Ateva dui gane dunhara ganana Madhav Vasudeva Goshe Rao e Vivarna. When Nityananda Prabhu was ordered to go to Bengal to preach, these two devotees, Sri Ramdas and Gadadhar Das, were ordered to go with him. Thus, they are sometimes counted among the devotees of Lord Chaitanya and sometimes among the devotees of Lord Nityananda. Similarly, Madhav Ghosh and Vasudev Ghosh belong to both groups of devotees simultaneously. So we just heard that Ramdas and Gadadhar Das, they were with Lord Chaitanya. But Lord Chaitanya had ordered Lord Nityananda to go to Bengal to do preaching over there. So when Lord Nityananda went to Bengal, these two, Ramdas and Gadadhar Das, they went with him to preach in Bengal. And that's why they are called associates of both Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Similarly, Madhav Ghosh and Vasudev Ghosh are also, they were associates of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, there is a place named Dani Hat near the Agra Dweep railway station and Patauli in the district of Burdwan, where the deity of Sri Gopinath Ji is still situated. This deity accepted Govinda Ghosh as his father. Even until today, the deity performs the Shraddh ceremony on the anniversary of the death of Govinda Ghosh. So this is a wonderful story where the deity, where Govinda Ghosh, he told the deity that you are my son. He accepted the deity as his son. And when he died, the Gopinathji, he actually came to do the last rites of Govinda. And so till today, when the Shraddh ceremony is done, it's performed in the temple. The deity performs the Shraddh ceremony. The temple of this deity is managed by Rajavamsh family of Krishnanagar, whose members are descendants of Raja Krishna Chandra. Every year in the month of Vaishak, when there is a Baradola ceremony, this Gopinath deity is taken to Krishnanagar. The ceremony is performed with 11 other deities, and then Sri Gopinathji is brought back to the temple in Agradvip. So by the relationship of Gopinath deity and Govinda Ghosh, we can see that the deity is actually Krishna. That Govinda Ghosh accepted the deity as his son, was always had that relationship with him as the son, and Gopinath came to perform the last rite ceremony of Govinda Ghosh. Until today, the Shraddh is being observed. Ramdasa Mukhya Shakha Sakya Prema Rasi Sola Sangera Kastha Yetuli Kaila Vamsi. Ramdas, one of the chief branches, was full of fraternal love of Godhead. He made a flute from a stick with 16 knots. So Ramdas, we heard he is Sridham. And so he's also playing the flute. Krishna is playing the flute. His Gopas also have flutes. Gadadhar Das, Gopi Bhave Purnananda, Yana Ghare Dana Keli, Kaila Nityananda. Srila Gadadhar Das was always fully absorbed in ecstasy as a gopi. In his house, Lord Nityananda enacted the drama Dana Keli. So Ramdas, he's a cowherd boy. And Gadadhar, his mood is of a gopi. He's in Gopi Bhav. And in Gadadhar Das's house, Lord Nityananda acted in a drama called Dana Keli. Shri Madhav Gosha Mukhya Caitaniya Gane Nityānanda Prabhu Nritya Kare Yan Ragane. Shri Madhav Ghosh was a principal performer of Kirtan. While he sang, Nityananda Prabhu danced. So one of the main Sankirtan singers, Madhav Ghosh, and he sang so beautifully, Nityananda Prabhu would dance. Vasudeva Gite Kare Prabhura Varnane Kastha Pashana Draveya Har Shravane. When Vasudev Ghosh described Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda while performing Kirtan, even wood and stone would melt upon hearing it. So Vasudev Ghosh would also sing, and his Kirtan was so heart-rending that even stone and wood could melt. Imagine, so he would be singing with so much love. He's describing Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda's glories. This is all on the platform of love. So we'll stop here for today. Does anyone have any comments or anything to share what you feel while we are reading this? It all sounds so amazing, all totally on a completely different platform. Thank you so much for listening in and joining in. Caitanya Caritamita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare